You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at rahardin.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
Well, good evening. This is the Generic Show right now live on KLRNradio.com. I'm one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robinson. We have the other half, Miss Jenn Homestead, with me right now. Good evening, Miss Jenn. How are you? I almost said good morning.
I'm doing pretty good. It's I'm glad to be on with you after all of your rough and tumble up and down sickness the last few weeks.
So just throw me under the bus first 5 seconds in. I see how it is. No, I'm just playing.
I'm glad that you're feeling better and that we're able to do this.
So yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks for me. There have been more down days than up days. I seem to finally starting to be recovering. I'm afraid to say that too often, though, because I'm afraid I may jinx myself, because there's been about 5 different times I thought I was over this crap, and then I got up one day and it was just like, just kidding.
Yeah.
So far I have strung together 2 really good days. I still have a bit of a cough, but it's not anything like it was. I don't know. Could be adrenaline, though, because, there's, news stories going everywhere. And so it's honestly, sadly, the busiest time of year at my day job, so it's been really hard to keep up with. So I want to give a quick shout-out to some folks. Not going to mention them by name, but we have this new great archive for hosts on the website that has made my life as a producer/host so much easier. So thank you for the work you're putting in back there. You know who you are. Because it makes prepping so much easier when I don't have to be the one to go find and prep audio, because they're already right there. It's almost like having a producer again. Almost. But yeah, lots of stuff going on in the news. We have leftists melting down everywhere, which has kind of become a recurring theme ever since November the 8th. But I digress.
Yeah.
So what's new with you?
What?
So what's new with you?
Oh, not that much. I mean, I'm just watching the media constantly, flail about. No matter what is going on or what is said or what is happening, they just pounce and they freak, and everybody's Hitler and everything is awful. And I'll tell you what is awful, though, is the cedar fever here in Central Texas. So we've had a family kind of fighting that, but not near what you've had to go through.
So wait,
ugh.
people comparing people to Hitler? You mean kind of like this?
And I didn't know devils could be resurrected, but I feel Hitler in these streets. A mustache traded for a toupee. Nazis renamed the cabinet. Electroconversion therapy, the new gas chamber, shaming the gay out of America.
You mean kind of like that?
And she goes, I feel Hitler in these streets. She lets her accent come out a little bit, that Kentucky girl does. But she cray.
Yeah, well, I only have one thing to say. I completely agree with this statement that she made right here.
I'm a nasty woman.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is true, I believe. Ugh. I just think this has already happened so many times. I mean, this presidency already feels months long. They are freaking out over every little thing, whether it was the 7 countries on this travel ban or the what was it today? It was something that they were pulling back, and they're like, they're lifting restrictions on this. And it turns out that no, that was something that was already in motion from Obama, that was something that was being tweaked before reinstating. Anyways, it almost never fails that whatever it is that they're talking about, that it is like the end of the world, is not actually that once they get the full story. But that doesn't keep them from going forward with it. And not only going forward with it, but then even when they get it, they do some updates or whatever, but they don't retract or they don't delete or all of those other things that were obviously so wrong and were presuming way too much. I mean, they are not going based off of facts. They're going based off of tidbits of information that are out of context and not whole. And basically inciting freakouts all over. It's just crazy to me. I mean, this is happening over and over and over and over every single day. I was telling you before the show that T. Beckett Adams on Twitter just had screenshot after screenshot today of the before and after of like 10 different subjects of what they were like, Trump is blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, well, it appears that da, 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 da. I mean, they're just not waiting for the information. They're not doing their journalistic duties. And they're, unfortunately, just because they update it later, their initial freak out is what a lot of people see. And they're, making the American public fearful or upset about things unnecessarily. And I think it's so irresponsible.
Okay, so pardon me while I geek out for just a moment, but I just got followed by Scott Page. For those of you who don't know who that is, he's the saxophonist. He's actually worked with Pink Floyd, Toto, and Supertramp.
That's cool.
I'm just saying. I was going through my Twitter feed. I'm like, holy crap, Scott Page is following me. I was like, no way is that really him. And then he's even got the little check mark. I was like, holy crap.
I got followed by a historian that I like today, so I feel ya. Another side of nerd. I'm like, yay, I love this historian, and I've read his books. I'm so happy he followed me. No one else knows who he is, but I do.
Hey, at least I'm nerding out about getting followed by somebody that's been part of a rock band. You're over there talking about a historian. Should we find you a pocket protector on commercial break?
Probably so. I am. I'm such a history geek. So
I am
make
too.
me excited.
It's fun to give you a hard time because I've actually been a history buff most of my life. Anyway, it's actually what got me involved in starting to talk about politics, because I started seeing all these crazy instances where history was repeating itself, which seems to happen a lot more than we realize. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But anyway,
absolutely.
I digress just a little bit. So there have been lots of other interesting things going on in the news. So we were talking about this whole overreaction of the left media. One of them actually was brought to my attention by a friend of mine last night who posted a clip of an article, and of course I didn't have much time to look into it until later today, because there was this takeoff of a conversation that apparently happened between President Trump and the President of Mexico, where President Trump had basically mentioned that, to use Trump's parlance, there were some bad hombres down that way, and he wanted to know if the Mexican president needed any help. And that was basically where the conversation stopped, but that's not where the article took it. Because, the article went on to say that President Trump, during the phone call, said, well, if you'd like, we can just come, I can just mobilize some of my troops and come down there and we can help you with it. Like it was some sort of a veiled threat, which never actually happened and was never actually part of the conversation. But these are the same people that talk about fake news and how bad it is.
Right. Well, they only mean fake news. Fake news only really means news that they don't like or opinions that they don't like. It doesn't even have to be news. They're labeling things fake news that are commentary, political commentary, and they're saying hashtag fake news. Well, no, it's not news at all. It's commentary on a situation that may be a news item, but that doesn't make them reporting the news. They're commenting on the news. That's so silly. So, but even when it is actual news, they pretty much call it fake news whenever it's something they just don't like or don't want to have, broadcast, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was actually going to be what I was going to bring up next, was their odd definition of fake news, because it seems to have more to do with the fact that it's more things they don't agree with or they don't like, and that's basically what gets labeled as fake news. The bad thing is this is actually starting to happen on both sides.
Yes, I agree. But I will tell you something that my husband said today, which I thought was interesting, was he was like, with all this fake news, everybody calling everything else fake news on both sides, like that's fake news, that's fake news, that's fake news, that's fake news. And then with everybody getting outraged over the tiniest little things, like I'm so over it, I'm tuning it all out, and nothing seems like I'm not going to take anybody seriously anymore. So for someone like him who is not near as engaged in politics and following the tit for tat that I am, he's like, nope, I blow them all off now. And so when they do have something serious to say or a real thing to bring to the front, like I just don't trust them. And it's not just left, it's not just right, it's all of it. It's like I don't trust it. The outrage machine has desensitized me, and also the just back and forth of fake news and everybody just yelling it at each other. I don't care, and I'm over everything, and I'm over all of those people. So they can be screaming at me that Trump is going to actually, like, oh, he's rounding people up right now, and I'm going to go, probably fake news. Because it's just for people that are not as engaged in all of this, and this is not part of their interest. This gets old, and it gets to a point where they feel like they're just being berated with it, and they don't even know what to see or read anymore, and it's just a bunch of name calling.
Well, the sad thing is with technology today, they could literally be showing something on the news like that, and like an actual video of it, and somebody could be like, "Oh, that's fake! Look, you can see the green screen," and it's not fake.
Yeah, absolutely, and they just lie. That's another thing. It's just lying, and a lot of people know that they can get away with it. And even if they're not outright lying, they're exaggerating the truth, or they're interpreting it and twisting it in a way that they, can influence people in a certain way, and they know they can get away with it. And if anybody attacks them, or if anybody calls them out, they'll call it attacking, they'll call it harassment, and then they'll claim that they've got a partisan and biased agenda. So there's just no winning. I mean, you can't even correct it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you are 100% right, because when you're in an ideological war or conversation with people that view it as an ideological war, and they're willing to shift their position only because by the end of the day, the only thing they care about is whether or not they feel they won the argument, there's no agreeing with them. And that's what's going on with so many people that used to be relativistically sane involved in politics today, because now the ends justify the means. And it's happening on both sides. And one of the reasons I say the ends justify the means is because we have seen in the news over the last several days what they are calling protest at UC Berkeley. I don't call them protest. They're actually more like riots. And for the left to come out and say that they are holding these supposed protests because they were trying to keep hateful and bigoted speech off of their campus. So your answer to keeping hateful and bigoted speech off of your campus is to terrorize people in the area and cause property damage and put people in the hospital? Words hurt so much that that's okay?
Well, and also not to mention how many people have gone out and said that basically, like, he is worse. No matter what they did last night, he is worse. And that is just inexcusable to me. And anybody that is pushing this, and they're doing this hashtag resistance and like sometimes, it's ugly, but this is what it takes to, to thwart power of authority, fascist nature and authoritarian nature and da-da-da. I'm sorry. Milo is a provocateur. He is I don't even care for him at all. I don't like him or Coulter or any of those people that just kind of do the sensational thing. And I think he has done good work in the past. And I think that he has brought attention to some issues that needed serious attention. And he kind of flies in the face of all of them because, he's quote unquote a gay conservative. But that's not what I want. Trying to get out the conservative message for me. But other people like him and whatever. But that doesn't mean that you just shut him down. That doesn't mean that his words are literally violence. That is what is being said. That is what the petition said, was that he was so hateful that his words were violent. And that is insane. But it's so much worse than that. The mayor there in Berkeley, the school officials, they all have basically kind of downplayed this whole thing, and they've tried to do this false equivocation. And specifically, the Lieutenant Governor of California, he made a statement. Lieutenant Governor Newsom released a statement today that said, hatred has no home on California's public university campuses in any form, from vitriol to violence. We witnessed both extremes at UC Berkeley's campus last night, from the racism and misogyny of fly-by-night provocateur and white supremacist Milo Yiannopoulos to the excessive response of a few protesters. Both create fear, neither embody freedom. Let's just stop right there for a second because it does go on. I'm sorry. Racism, misogyny, white supremacist? He is utterly, this is just completely a lie. And it was not a few. It was not a few people. It was a mob. It was an absolute mob. The police were telling people where they were, what streets they were going up, and to stay inside and away from their windows because basically they were dangerous. This was a dangerous situation and it was out of control. They were shooting paintball gun. They were using paintball guns to shoot police. There were fires lit. I mean, they turned over cars. They beat people. They pepper sprayed people. They punched windows out of cars, moving vehicles. This is not just a little bit of violence from a few that got out of hand. I mean, I'm just so sick of the lying and the crap in order to protect a political ideology that they agree with. So he goes on, and also this is equating him because it's trying to say Milo didn't even speak. But Milo's presence and the fact that he was maybe going to speak makes this equal, because we saw both this side that's all racist and misogynistic and white supremacist, and then there were these few people that acted out badly. No, that's crap. But then it goes on to say, freedom of speech lives in the fabric of UC Berkeley. Cal is everything Trump University is not. President Trump's asinine threat to pull funding from Cal showed zero awareness of the real-world implications of a president's words and actions. Stripping federal funds from UC would only create more innocent victims and more Trump carnage. Listen to the words he's using. President Trump is quick to attack American students, immigrants, women, the LGBT community, journalists, and our international allies, but he is either too weak or too ignorant to stand up to white supremacists and others who spew hatred. That's why the president and his extreme acolytes, like Milo, need to hear from the resistance loudly and repeatedly. We must continue to step in and stand up to resist reckless rhetoric and actions in a peaceful and forceful manner. My jaw's on the floor.
Wait, so just to back up the one specific thing that he just said, they need to act in a peaceful manner. What about the UC Berkeley protest that all has been peaceful?
But he said forceful also. Peaceful and forceful. I don't know about you, but I don't know much force that's done peacefully.
Well, I don't really either, but at the same time, there are ways you could actually be forceful without doing what they're doing, which is breaking things and putting people in the hospital. And again, none of this makes any sense to me. Because look, I'm just going to be completely honest for a second. Milo's. Can I just say this? And if anybody has any small children listening, you may want to cover their ears for a moment. Milo's an asshat. I don't like Milo. Milo makes my skin crawl, and it doesn't have anything to do with his sexual orientation. It has to do with the fact that he is an opportunist who has found a way to graft himself onto multiple movements, figure out a way to make money off of them, and then he moves on to the next one when that one dies. I don't like people like Milo. I've met people like Milo. I understand how they operate. He is not what he claims to be, but that's not my problem. My problem here is I don't care how much I dislike the person. They have the right to speak.
Right, and I think that we're stuck in a generation which thinks that if I protest, if I sign my petition, and then they don't abide by what I've demanded in my petition with my signature and however many others, then I have the right to physically destroy property and throw a temper tantrum in order to get my way. That is so dangerous, and it's absolutely anti-intellectual.
Well, let's bring this back together, though, because let's think about this logically for a second. These same people that are doing this behavior now on UC Berkeley, most of them have watched that as they were growing up over the last 8 years, and it being acceptable, because that's what happened on national TV. Every time a certain group of people did not get an answer to a question that they liked or felt like the government was flying in the face of what they believed, they started rioting, breaking things, burning things, blowing things up, and now it's become mainstream because we had an entire generation that grew up watching it and a president who thought it was a grand idea.
Well, and I think it's even more than that. They didn't just grow up watching it, but now it turned into even more. So they grew up watching it, but then they were also even more coddled by that kind of thinking. And they were told that this is the right way, so that they saw it, and it was around them, and it was a part of kind of, I guess, normalcy now. But then they are also having teachers, and they are having maybe even parents that are sympathetic to all of this, coaches, whatever, and they're also kind of indoctrinating them other than just what they're seeing. And then they get to a college that is absolutely willing to embrace this utter childishness. And not only that, but encouragement. I actually wanted to know what happened with the Zen safe space. Did they not have enough crayons, Play-Dohs, and Capri Suns? Because I thought that's what they were doing for these college students now, was giving them a room where they could go and play with Play-Doh and color in the lines, or outside the lines if they want to, maybe finger paint a little, and then have some goldfish snacks and a little juice box, and they'd feel all better because they'd return to a good place.
Well, what actually happened is, about a couple of weeks into that whole safe space thing, they realized the little cutie oranges were out of season, so the kids all started rioting again.
That's good.
All right, believe it or not, we are actually getting pretty close to the bottom of the hour. Anything else you want to hit on before we take a quick break?
Oh, no, I just think they're all a bunch of jerks, and it's utter crap that any grown adult is defending what went on in Berkeley last night, no matter what their political leanings are.
And I second that emotion. All right, on that note, folks, we're going to take a really quick break. We're going to go and hit break about 30 seconds early. When we come back, lots more to talk about, including my surprise reaction that Trump actually stuck to the list. We'll talk about that when we get back.
Lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At the Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support the Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live into the second half of the show. Don't forget to stay tuned because right after this one shuts down and we get spun back up again, we'll be doing a live episode of America Off the Rails. And a bit of a... Now, I've been doing this a lot over the last few days because with my hit and miss on being able to do shows lately, it seems like I keep having to do a round of, yes, I told you I was going to do this. So here I go eating my hat again. so to speak, because we don't have any webcam, so you can't see whether I'm actually eating a hat. And who the hell actually eats a hat anyway? But anyway, so I
think that might be a problem for your digestive system.
Yeah, maybe. But, so I made a statement during the campaign, and this was during the primaries, when they first started making noise about this list that was kind of a peace offering from the GOP folks to see if Trump was going to take any of their suggestions. And he came out and did what he was supposed to do with the list, and then started walking back the list a little bit, and then said, well, they may not be these exact people, but they'll be people like these people. So when he started saying things like that, I started getting really paranoid. I was like, if he's talking like this now, there isn't going to be any way he's actually going to stick to the list. Except, however...
This may be the most transparent judicial selection process in history. Months ago, as a candidate, I publicly presented a list of brilliant and accomplished people to the American electorate and pledged to make my choice from among that list. Millions of voters said this was the single most important issue to them when they voted for me for president. I am a man of my word. I will do as I say, something that the American people have been asking for from Washington for a very, very long time.
So in take number 4,322 of so far, Rick got it wrong. I would like to publicly apologize for telling everyone that I didn't think Trump would pull anyone from the list, because he pulled someone exactly from the list, and he made one of the best choices possible from the list, which is exactly what he said he was going to do. So yes, I admit it again for like the umpteenth time. I was wrong. I mean, there's still plenty of things the guy's doing that's scaring the crap out of me, but I feel it necessary to walk back anytime I blatantly got it wrong, and this happens to be one of them. So, meh.
Yeah, I am very pleasantly surprised by this. I don't know what other way to put it, really. I'm so pleased with this pick. And while I don't claim to be an expert on any of these judges or their jurisprudence and their their history, I have read a bit about him and have looked at. I've read a few of the things that he's written in regards to various cases. And then I have a few friends that are lawyers that kind of cut through some of the, legal crud for me, I guess. And they all seem very pleased. In addition to that, he has former classmates and colleagues from various walks of life, from private law to various positions held on the courts, that just sing his praises, even if they don't agree with him politically. But they say that doesn't, he is an originalist, but that's not necessarily a political stance. That's a judicial stance. And that he doesn't let anything really come into his, he doesn't let personal things come into his rulings. So I think that, and based on the way that he interprets the Constitution and various different measures, I can be extremely happy about this. And I don't think that it gives Trump a pass for everything, but I think it's something to be grateful for and to say, well done, glad you picked this one of the best choices off your list.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm still not drinking the Kool-Aid. I haven't bought a ticket to the Trump train, but I do have to call it as I see it, and this was one of those instances again where I got it wrong. So, but there is this big whole uprising on the left. Surprise, surprise, about this particular nomination, because oh my God, they're gonna make the Supreme Court conservative, and they're gonna try to undo Roe v. Wade, and they're gonna do this, and we should have a 60-vote majority for confirmation of Supreme Court justices. No, because we've never done it that way before. See, listen, I have proof.
I'll repeat, neither of the two Supreme Court justices that President Obama put forward were subject to the 60-vote threshold. So although I agree with Senator Manchin that Judge Gorsuch will probably get enough Democrats to get to 60, it's just simply not ever been a requirement.
Now, another reason I wanted to bring this up, and then I'll turn the mic over to you. These same people that are now lining up to crucify this man were the same ones that confirmed him for his lesser appointment just a few years ago.
Yes, and I have quite a few people. I've got some center left, even a few kind of far left followers that I interact with pretty often that I much enjoy, and we don't get nasty and everything's good, and we just simply disagree on a lot of things, but we're able to discuss them like, I don't know, adults. But they have been saying, like, that is completely irrelevant. Why? How so? If he was good enough for them to confirm for a federal appointment to the 10th Circuit, which is a pretty major circuit in this country as far as things that it rules on, one of the top 3, then why would that not have any bearing? Why could that not be used as something to say, well, I mean, if he was good enough to do that, which hears cases and they decide whether they go to the Supreme Court or not, I mean, that essentially some of their decisions determine whether that happens. Why is that not relevant? I don't understand that.
Well, it wasn't relevant before because it didn't matter because it wasn't the Supreme Court. I'm just giving you their logic of it because.
Yes, of course. I'm just saying that is complete crap. That's not even good logic. I mean, you can't say, they're judicial.
Hold the phone. Did you just say left? Did you just say left and logic in the same sentence? I'm just asking.
Whoops. But I mean, it's like, that can't be. You can't say, well, for a lower court, it's fine if I don't. I'll overlook their ability to be an ethical jurist. But for the Supreme Court, I mean, then that says that you did not take your job seriously the first time around. If it was not if you do not think that he has the credibility to be a fair and ethical judge, then you don't think that he no matter what the level is, you shouldn't approve him. So it's just really crap. I was going to say, one of the things that people have freaked out about because they started sharing his high school yearbook photo. Did you hear about this?
Oh, yeah, where he was trolling his teachers?
Yes, and he claimed to, on his photo, so he went to a pretty highly touted Jesuit preparatory school, and there are only so many people in the class. It's like under 100. So they each get their little page, like half page or something that has their picture and the seniors do, of all their activities they were involved in and their favorite quote and all this kind of stuff. And so he claimed that he was the proud founder of the Fascism Forever Club. And this picture was released. And again, these journalists, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, ran with it. And it was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. They thought they had found like the find of this administration. Like, we can nail him on this. He had a Fascism Forever Club. It did not occur to any of these humorless nincompoops that it was sarcasm or a joke of any kind. They ran with it like it was gospel. And the first thing I did when I saw it was I thought, oh, that's funny. He was like making a joke. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know him, but I knew that that's what it was. So his about over 70 of his classmates have released a statement, and they are sending this letter to the Senate Judiciary Committee. And it says, "We are doctors, lawyers, lobbyists, businessmen, bankers, brokers, investors, consultants, government workers, entrepreneurs, and yes, the general manager of a Major League Baseball team that has won the most World Series championships in history."
Somebody's bragging.
Yeah, we are prominent and active Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Liberals, Conservatives, and Moderates. Most important, however, we have been friends with Neil Gorsuch for over 35 years, and he has not changed since we chose him to be the president of our student body. And then they said that he would serve without any regard to the pursuit of any partisan policy or objective, and he possesses knowledge, integrity, and a strong appreciation that his decisions will impact real people. And then they will urge, it says they urge the Senate Judiciary Committee to, quote, give Judge Gorsuch the chance for approval by the full Senate. This is signed by over 70 of his 90 classmates. So that is a pretty ringing endorsement right there. And they go on, they individually are signing it, and they're sending this letter to each person on the Senate Judiciary Committee. So, and they also said in this that this was a joke because he was ribbed all the time and challenged all the time for being a staunch conservative. And this is in the 80s, and they were, the time of the Cold War and everything, and they would tease him about being a fascist. And so he went with it, and he would say he was such a fascist. So, oh my gosh, just another example of a huge, huge, huge media fail.
Just to play devil's advocate, he was the president of the Fascist Forever Club. For all we know, he had all of these people replaced by pod people, and they're now telling everybody what he's programmed them to say.
Oh, yeah. That's probably it.
That'll be the story in about a week. I'd almost bet you. These aren't real people. These are made up friends.
None of them exist. I was gonna say too that there's also another aspect, and I encourage you all to go check this post out, and I'll just briefly say a few things about it. But our resident misfit lawyer did a piece about him today, specifically about the Chevron doctrine. And a lot of people don't really know what that means, but it essentially, it was a Supreme Court case about executive agencies, and it empowered them with a lot of power, basically. It gave them a lot of statutes that are passed by Congress, signed by the president, and then they basically get to dictate how they are made, what regulations they have to enforce these statutes. And like she tells us, the Obama administration alone passed 21,000 regulations, and there's pretty much no check on them. Because basically what it says is that the court first asks whether the statute is ambiguous to the specific issue. If the statute is ambiguous, which most are, the court will defer to the agency's interpretation as long as it's quote unquote reasonable. Here's the thing. They're always ambiguous. Courts almost always defer to the agency's interpretation, which means the executive agencies wield extraordinary power, shielded from accountability by the electorate and inviting the most pernicious crony capitalism. That is something that he has written about, that he is pretty adamantly against, and says that this needs to be changed, it needs to be overturned. And this should be a real signal to limited government conservatives, because what do we always talk about? That these bureaucracies, these agencies that are unelected, have so many unelected officials, have way too much power over our lives. So just a little tidbit about him, and you can check out her post, but it was explained in a way that I hadn't heard and didn't really know much about, but that is apparently really, a really big deal in how much power all of these agencies have over us and over corporations.
Yeah, it's been something that I've actually talked about for a while now. And it's one of the things that showed me exactly how much power way too many people have. And it's just as much on the government side as it is the corporate side, was the EPA. And that's one reason why and just as one of the final thoughts as we get ready to get out of here, was really happy today to hear that Scott Pruitt actually cleared his first hurdle to becoming confirmed as the director of the EPA. Looks like the only thing he has left now is the full Senate vote, and they expect him to sail through that. So I'm sure there will be much liberal wailing and gnashing of teeth, because we're gonna go back to dirty air and filthy water, and nobody's gonna care about the planet anymore. But
everybody's gonna be locked up, so it won't even matter anyways.
But these are the same people that just trashed DC at a rally, and then made an excuse as to why they did it. The funny thing about that, like days after it happened, because everybody started passing around the pictures of the trash everywhere, Snopes came out and did this little cover piece about, well, the reason they did what they did, about specifically where they left all the trash. They did that as part of the protest in front of Trump's hotel. And by putting all the trash in one place, it made it much easier for the street workers to come by and clean up the mess. Can you imagine if a right-leaning group had thrown trash everywhere? I don't care if it would have been piled in a specific place.
What idiotic logic.
Are all over. Can you imagine if a right protest group had done that?
No, it's such desperate rationalization.
It's just insane to me, the world that we live in now. Because these same people that were talking about how much the Republican Party was obstructing everything that President Obama tried to do and how that's not fair and it's not constitutional and it's un-American, they're not even showing up for the votes.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Oh, well, how dare we expect them to do their jobs?
And I understand that the right really has no room to talk because a few years ago, or at least the elected right doesn't really have any room to talk, because a few years ago they were doing the exact same thing. They were protesting, they were not going into the votes, and then they were dragging their heels, and while the left was throwing a fit and saying that they were being un-American, and now the roles are reversed. I just want to know, when is just one of the parties going to stand up and say, you know what, we're going to be the adults in the room for once. These guys won. Let's let them get their stuff done, and it's either going to work or it's going to blow up.
Yeah, and that's really the problem for me right now. If the Democrats were simply saying, fundamentally this is an issue, blah, blah, blah. But really what it just seems retaliatory. And it seems like, and by the way, they are doing it far more than the Republicans did at that time. But it is like, okay, so what? So they did it, so you're going to do it? And this is happening on both sides. And also they're reaping a little bit of what they sowed. They've thinking that they were never going to lose power again, basically unprotected the minority in several different ways. And so now they're having to deal with that because they, at that time, were in power and wanted to, not allow the Republicans to have a say or to be able to do anything. So, they instituted things and they kind of set precedents for some stuff that's now coming back to bite them in the butt. And, but the hypocrisy of it is what gets me, because now they're saying that this is so unfair and they're saying, oh, those mean old Republicans and oh, how terrible is this? And if they had any, character about them, if they had any, bipartisanship, then they would change it to where this, or that. No, that's not how it works. You don't get to stick it to the other guy for however many years and say that it's perfectly ethical and fine, and then come back when you're on the losing side and be hypocritical and say that it's not ethical and it's so wrong and it's, it's just gotten out of control and both sides are guilty. But I just have no sympathy right now. I have no sympathy for them because this is a bed they partially made.
No, I mean, I really don't either. And, again, I'm more referring to the elected folks this time because they were the ones the last time that were standing up in front of the American people and saying the reason we can't get anything done is because of these stupid Republicans who think that everything that Barack Obama is doing is evil. And now they're telling the American people that everything Donald Trump is trying to do is evil.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. It's just, it's fine when I do it and when my guy's in power and when my team's in power. And when it's the opposite way, that I'm going to, just moan and groan about every little thing that I can and scream unfairness and scream that it's, it's unpatriotic and it's, even some of them are trying to claim some sort of unconstitutionality. It's just outrageous.
I mean,
and disingenuous.
Some of them are still talking about the popular vote. They think it's unfair that President Trump was allowed to pick the SCOTUS
Supreme
nominee
Court, yeah,
because he didn't win the popular vote. And also how unfair and how rash of the Republicans to not allow President Obama to make his SCOTUS pick in the last year of his term. Newsflash, folks, that's been a standing kind of a rule, not really a rule, but more of like one of those unwritten custom type things where it's since like the late 1800s that in the lame duck session of a president, there would be no Supreme Court appointments.
Right. It's not and it hasn't happened so often that it's like it's every presidency or something. So I understand why people are not very familiar with the idea of this, but it does have precedence. It has very long and strong precedence. So I understand if I was a Republican in that situation, I would probably be frustrated.
And they were.
It is annoying, and I would be. I'm not going to say I wasn't. It doesn't mean that they're like stealing it from you or anything like that, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember, and this was years ago, so I still wasn't even as heavily in politics as I am now. But I remember towards the end of Bush 43's second term, when the Democrats said the exact same thing that the Republicans said at the end of Obama's second term, and they were not going to do this because there's going to be a vote soon, and we think the American people should be able to decide who they want their SCOTUS pick to be by selecting who their next president should be first. And, at the time, I was frustrated because I knew that we were likely not going to win after Bush 43's second term because there were too many things that he had done out of necessity that the country didn't much care for. And I know that he did them for what he thought were the right reasons, but even I, toward the middle of his second term, started calling him out quite often. So, but I knew that we probably, and then we floated McCain, which was the biggest.
By the way, though, this entire thing, I don't even agree with. If it's the last year of a presidency, that's still the last year of that person's presidency. I'm not even sure that I think that that's even the right way to go. They're president. They've been president for at least 3 years, if not 7. They should be able to nominate that justice. I understand the idea behind waiting, but I'm not sure that that's exactly the right course to go on. Like, they should have the chance to vote on who they did. They elected this person and they're still in office for an entire, 300 plus days. So let them do it. But it is what it is. And there is a precedence for it. So it's not some slanted bias thing.
Well, to be fair, when this precedent was first begun, things moved a lot slower than they do now. So that's one of the reasons why they started that particular precedent, because they knew that by the time they could get all this stuff in full swing and even figure out who their nominees were going to be, it was going to be almost time for the election anyway. Now, in this day and age, we can kind of get this stuff done in a couple of weeks. And, I don't necessarily agree or disagree. I don't really have a stance on whether the sitting president should be able to make any type of an appointment for something that important during the end of what would be considered a lame duck term. Because I understand the logic.
Yeah, I understand that. It just is like they are still the elected, commander-in-chief. It seems strange to say, hey, this entire last year you're not allowed to do something like, but then they do all sorts of other crazy crap that can completely upend crap. So I don't know. It's just politics. It's politics.
You mean like that hundreds of millions of dollars that got funneled to the Muslim folks, and then Trump
exactly like that.
And then Trump told the world he blocked it, but yet somehow they still got the money.
Absolutely, just like that.
All right, so believe it or not, we are officially out of time. So as we normally do, why don't you remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with me?
Yes, come find me at J Homestead on Twitter. I'm there pretty much all the time. Please check out misfitspolitics.com. That's where that article is earlier, that I mentioned earlier about Gorsuch and the Chevron two-step is what it's called, by @MoleRatty. And I think it will give a lot of people some good insight to, some of his opinions on things that aren't just about conservatism. So go check that out.
And of course, I am Rick Robinson, and you can hang out with me on Twitter at AOTR_host. I'm usually around these parts on every Monday through Thursday on America Off the Rails at 11 p.m. Eastern. Also here on Sundays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on this show right now, the Jenn and Rick Show. And then the Robinson and Wright Show every Friday night at 11 Eastern. That is a bit longer one because it's Friday, and we decided to extend it so we do 2 hours on that one now. And that's kind of the extent of my live radio work right now. Some of the other shows are currently on hiatus because we are currently looking for a not-so-conservative sidekick for the Finding Common Ground show. So if you happen to be a liberal and you want to talk politics one day a week, hit me up. Also, as a reminder, if you're hanging out on the website, make sure you use the Contact Us form. We have a couple of giveaways going on right now. One of them is actually for a custom-made mug that is actually really patriotic and really cool. It actually has a picture of an eagle flying, holding an American flag in their talons, and it's just an awesome picture. You actually have the chance to win that particular mug. Sadly, none of us that actually work here are eligible. Otherwise, I would have already entered like a billion times, but I was told no. Boo. All right, so on that note, folks, awesome. We are out for the night. I will be back with you. It may take about 5 minutes or so to get prepped for the turnaround, but I will be right back here in just a few minutes live on the America Off the Rails show, so please do not go away. We'll see you in a bit.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down, 'cause I've been through